keeping a journal too of my every book. I write a journal day one. I'll tell you why it's fabulous. It's fabulous because now I'm working on book 7. I look back at day one of every one of my novels, and it says, I have no idea. And I can't begin to tell you how reassuring that is. Because I think, well, wait, I wrote this, and on day one I had no idea, and later I did. So it's got to be all fine. I'm so thrilled to be here tonight. It is so marvelous to see you all. And I need to tell you that, speaking of thinking back about how our lives developed and how we've changed and how our lives affect our books, the first boy I ever dated is sitting right here. This wasn't honestly, Bruce Gilbert and I went to see Paul Simon together.
He just told me you made a paper flower and you guys waited outside and you gave it to him.
To Paul Simon. I love it. I'm blushing now, which James M. Cain would not do. And what year was it? 1964 or 5, something like that?
66.
66. Is that not crazy? And then here he and his wife are tonight. So it is just marvelous to see this. It sort of brings tears to my eyes.
Aren't I open-minded?
I said, oh, the other woman. I said to Bev, I think I was the first girl that your husband ever dated, and she said, and I'm the last.
That's the only response.
Out of the ballpark, right? Thank you so much for inviting me here tonight. I've been a television reporter for 40 years. I've wired myself with hidden cameras, I've confronted corrupt politicians, I've chased down criminals, I've gone undercover and in disguise. But what I never did until I started writing mysteries at age 55 was to make stuff up. And I wondered if my brain would do that. There are other journalists here, Diana is here. I wondered if my brain would do that. If I could sit at my computer and just make something up out of thin air that never existed before, sort of the finishing the hat thing. Look, I made a hat out of nothing. And you think about, so I thought about, how do I do this? How do I do this? My first naive thought was, I've read millions of mysteries. How hard can it be? My second thought was like, oh my gosh, it's very hard. So here's the thing, when Linda asked me to think about the women authors who have affected me, I thought about, was there a moment when I sat at my computer on chapter 1, day 1, page 1 of my first novel, Primetime, what was it that how did I learn how to make stuff up? How did I learn how to make stuff up? And I had really never thought about it before, because I realized that when I sat in that chair on that computer on day 1, I wasn't thinking about anything but my story. I wasn't thinking about any other authors. I wasn't thinking about how to write a mystery. I wasn't thinking about anything but I have this great story. How do I tell a story? And as a journalist, I know how to tell a story. But I know that actually the only thing that makes one of the many things that makes a good author is that you have to have read. You have to have read books. You have to know the architecture of the mystery, and you have to know the structure of, come on in, we'll start over. Welcome. You have to know the structure of the mystery. You have to have a fabulous main character. You have to have a plot that makes sense. And in the end, you need to change someone's life a little bit, whether it's in investigative reporting or whether it's in writing writing crime fiction. You need all those things. So I thought, where did that come from? I grew up in rural Indiana, reading Nancy Drew in the hayloft of my parents' farm. And what I learned from Nancy Drew was that a good amateur sleuth uses the things that she has, the skills that she has, and the knowledge that she has. It's not a nuclear war, and it's not magic, but it's her brain, it's her intelligence, it's her intellect. I mean, Nancy knew about colonial closets, right? And That's why, I mean, but seriously, right? That's why she opened that door, because it was something that she knew. And I remember writing in one of my first novels, I had set up that my main character was going to shoot someone. My main character, a reporter, was going to shoot someone. And I remember her saying to me in that book, as I was writing, she said, "I think for a living, I don't shoot people." And I thought, see, this is Nancy Drew. This is Nancy Drew. This is Nancy Drew using what she has in her. What makes her special is what makes my main characters special. I also learned about, you need to know the architecture of the mystery, right? You need to know beginning, middle, and end. You need to know that there has to be a puzzle that's fair, that has clues, that has real stuff in the book that could make you, allow you to figure out the mystery if only you were as smart as the author. And think about Murder on the Orient Express. Oh my goodness, it's all there. I'm going to get goosebumps telling you about it. Do you remember the first time you read that? And in the end, no spoilers, but in the end you're like, holy moly, how did she do that? And when you go back and read it again, which you do, it's all there. It's absolutely all there. If only you had been smart enough, as she was, to put it all together. So from Agatha Christie, who I adore, I learned that you have to be fair. You have to be fair with your reader. You have to put everything there. I mean, even the murder of Roger Ackroyd, like the biggest gasping ending that there has ever been, it's still all there. You know, there's that scene, and it's still all there. And then there's one more thing that you absolutely need, I think, in writing a mystery, and that is that the mystery has to be more than about who done it, obviously, but it also has to be more than about why done it. It has to be more than that too. It has to be about something that'll change your life, about something that'll make you think later, about something that'll make a difference to you. It has to make you be thoughtful, and that no one does that like Sue Grafton. No one does that like Sue Grafton. You see her at the beginning of every book sort of setting out this paragraph that has this tone of like, did you ever think about how things don't always turn out the way you planned? And she takes you into her head and sets up the theme, which you don't know till later, but she subtly introduces at the beginning of every book. Here's what this book is going to feel like, and here's what I'm thinking about. And here am I, Kinsey Milhone, a real person, taking you, making a report on this journey that I took. And it's not only a journey of who done it, but it's a journey of how Kinsey feels and how she changes and how she looks at the world. You know, whether it's shoplifting or homelessness or healthcare or whatever topic, a real topic that she's decided to look at. And you end the book and you know who done it, of course, but you've also learned something. You've also been taken into a world, Kinsey's world, that you never might have thought about. You may never have thought about the world that way before. So that's what I've learned, you know, when I sit down at the computer to write now. I take all of those wonderful authors who I've read for so many years, and I put them all together and I say, now what's my story? What's my story? How do I learn from those masters of writing how to make me the best me that I can be? And the bottom line from that is, where are we without these books? Where are we without these books? And if we're members of Sisters in Crime, we know that we're writers and that we're in it together and that we all, you know, the idea that I can say to you, Murder on the Orient Express, and you're all nodding, oh yes, I read that. You know, where else but a place like this? Where else with Sisters in Crime members would we know that? And where else but a bookstore like Mysteryscape, and wonderful independent bookstore, would have all of these worlds that we can share and that we can discuss and that we can have at our fingertips. A wonderful place that would invite us here tonight to share this. And I'm so grateful that you invited me to share this with you tonight. Thank you so much for coming.